The one thing WWE fans have become used to is mass releases. Since April 2020, WWE has cut down on their staff and roster, so it's fair to assume something similar will be happening this year. This is Wrestling Hub, and these are 10 WWE stars that will be released in 2022. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official, and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Elias's place in WWE is one to closely monitor throughout 2022. His persona was always perfect for sports entertainment, and that is one reason that Triple H had previously given for why Elias was so much more effective on the main roster in contrast to NXT. However, WWE has drastically changed in the last 2 years, and Elias's relevance has been on a constant downturn. He has been seen on TV since he lost a feud to now release former partner Jackson Riker. WWE teased Elias moving on from his musician character in August 2020, but there hasn't been any movement on his position on the card since. We are still awaiting an Elias return, and many have forgotten about his presence on the main roster. In an era of constant cuts that have caused WWE to streamline their roster, a talent with an untimely injury and loss of heat like Elias won't be long for the ride unless there is dramatic change in his character and he returns soon. But in modern WWE, even that wouldn't promise a long stay. Robert Roode has seemingly blended into WWE's mid-card picture and doesn't look like he has a big run in him to catapult him to the top of the card. That is a shame, as Roode was one of the best NXT champions of the golden era, yet saw his momentum on the main roster be deflated very soon upon his arrival. He has been in a tag team with the company veteran Dolph Ziggler for years now, and they enjoy status on WWE TV by virtue of being the names that they are, but in a shifting landscape, Roode's days may be numbered. Roode will be turning 46 in May this year. There are a lot of miles on his body, and WWE are looking to introduce a new wave of stars that they are creating on NXT 2.0. As more talent move up, wrestlers like Roode will be susceptible to releases. WWE has a set cast of veterans that probably won't be going anywhere in Sheamus, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, and others. So as the roster gets trimmed out even more, WWE may look to set Roode onto the indies again. A theme that will emerge in this list, as has been a theme in WWE releases in 2021, is that talent with an indie style will most likely be targeted. Despite T-Bar being a very successful big man in wrestling, his body of work prior to WWE showcases that he is extremely versatile. However, the man formerly known as Dominik Dijakovic has been booked as even remotely intimidating so far in his main roster run. Without a drastic reboot, his success in the company may already be hitting a very short ceiling. T-Bar had the disastrous Retribution debut plaguing his main roster career. He has a bad name that doesn't come off as intimidating, and he is constantly used to set up other members of the roster. While there is utility in being in that role for someone like Dijak, that is bound to set up frustration. With his obvious bonds to Triple H's NXT, the chances of seeing T-Bar off the WWE roster are pretty high. Out of all those on this list, this release seems both the most likely and the least likely. Doudrop has enjoyed a pretty prominent status in the women's division, although her storylines have consistently been bad, and WWE has even run segments teasing Doudrop being released. Due to those references, it is likely she will not be released. Though her reception and the booking that she has been getting, it is possible that her utility on the roster fades over the course of the year. WWE could reset their programming every week if they wanted to. Doudrop is extremely talented and could be used as a very effective big wrestler in the women's division. Still, WWE's reliance on out-of-touch caricatures on big women often leave a sour taste in the mouths of viewers, and make the characters feel like a gimmick to set up punchlines. This has been the case with Doudrop's early career. She is on the verge of becoming a jobber with all the losses she has had recently. Unless this is part of a story we aren't aware of, this kind of neglect often foreshadows releases. Ricochet is a phenomenal wrestler and there is nothing more that can be said on that. If anyone is familiar with his body of work, they know he is simply sensational. We have seen flashes of that on WWE TV, but it doesn't look like Ricochet is going to enjoy a fruitful time on the WWE roster. He joins the many names that WWE had hired to flesh out their indie alternative NXT run by Triple H during WWE's signing spree through the mid-2010s, and have seen their style be less relevant in WWE's programming. Ricochet has always been too big a star for WWE to slot him in their cruiserweight division, but he isn't big enough to have consistently solid storylines on the main roster. This has become a massive issue for Ricochet, who is seemingly just going through the motions in WWE. While his athleticism distinguishes himself from the rest of the roster, the question of whether WWE cares to use that comes up. If they are chomping at the bit to trim their roster, they will realize that they probably don't need to keep Ricochet on the books for 2022. Akira Tozawa was supposed to be one of the cruiserweight standouts of WWE. Instead, he is now cast in an overtly stereotypical character for comic relief on the main roster. Tozawa hasn't had a major role in WWE outside his involvement in the 24/7 division. However, if WWE were willing to release Drake Maverick after the work he did over 2020 and 2021, it doesn't really say that Tozawa is safe either. Only exclusive 24/7 title competitor that will have a job for life is R-Truth. Everyone else may just be moving parts to come in and out of the mix. Tozawa is genuinely way too talented to be in the role that he is. It doesn't provide anything special to the content on TV and does not utilize his full skill set. There are many younger wrestlers that WWE are planning on pushing over the next year or so, and Tozawa's roster spot will be another casualty in that process. Speaking of 24/7 title contenders, it is extremely sad to see what happened to Cedric Alexander over 2021. Alexander was a crucial part of the Hurt Business stable led by MVP and Bobby Lashley alongside Shelton Benjamin. Yet Benjamin and Alexander were kicked out of the stable around WrestleMania 37. The team would reunite in September, but it has lacked the magic it had prior to the breakup. In fact, you could say that Alexander has no role in WWE right now except being a member of the stable. Just like last year, it's fair to assume that WWE will rely on the cheap heat for another breakup. If that happens, Alexander will be floating in the main roster again. The former Cruiserweight champion became a member of the 24/7 title hunt after the first breakup. There have been stop-start pushes for Alexander in WWE before, and now it looks like he will never be promoted as a single star again. If his association with Lashley and MVP doesn't carry him through the year, we may see Alexander unleashed on the indies. Only one member of the Undisputed Era remains in WWE. While Strong wasn't a founding member of the group, he is just as synonymous with NXT as his teammates were. While the teammates are living it up together on AEW TV, Strong remains a part of NXT 2.0, where he does stick out like a sore thumb. He was the last Cruiserweight champion of the company before he lost the belt to Carmelo Hayes, who unified the North American title with it. Strong is far too good to be a stepping stone for developmental talent. The Diamond Mind is interesting and allows him to spotlight himself and new talent, but it is odd to see him compete in something WWE is openly calling developmental once again. Despite him signing a contract in early 2021, WWE may just turn around and release Strong to keep their new NXT setup going. With Tommaso Ciampa bound to stay on, Strong may be free to go. Mustafa Ali is easily one of the most talented wrestlers in WWE. Everyone can play the what-if game to analyze how Ali's career would have turned out if he wasn't injured prior to Elimination Chamber 2019 that launched Kofi Mania into the WWE Championship picture. But what-ifs don't change the fact that WWE have criminally misused Ali and that Ali has not been happy about it. His gimmick has been quite pseudo-real, with him airing genuine concerns with the company, though either on TV or Ali's Twitter it becomes completely forgotten about. Ali's stint as the leader of Retribution failed the same day it started. Despite his genuine skill level and fan reaction, WWE haven't used him properly since that group. He was put into a feud with Mansoor, but that served only the purpose of furthering Mansoor's stock in Saudi Arabia pay-per-views. Ali was even knocked out by a karate silver medalist at the event. He hasn't wrestled since being squashed by Drew McIntyre on SmackDown in October, and it seems like WWE will cut the cord on him soon enough. This is a long shot, but 2022 will be the last year of Finn Balor in WWE. His contract situation is unclear, but he is either going to be a free agent this year or in 2024. Similar to the shock release of Braun Strowman in 2021, it won't be surprising to see WWE make a massive move like that again by putting Balor out of the market. Finn is extremely liked by his peers, and alongside Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins is proof that Triple H's guys still have a future in the company. But for Balor, it might not be the case. There is nothing that indicates dissatisfaction from Balor's end or from WWE's end. Keeping that in mind, it seems Balor would be extremely useful to the promotion with his ability and body of work. But the lack of engaging storylines and the inconsistent booking may prove that WWE do not know how to use him. The company seems unconcerned with releasing talent that will go straight to AEW, so that probably won't be a motivation to keep Balor. With him being 40 and looking like he has peaked in the company, maybe he gets to walk out of his contract or be released upon request. WWE are also capable of just releasing him like they did Samoa Joe for 2 weeks in 2021, but hopefully nobody has to sit through the trauma of mass releases again. And these were 10 WWE stars that will be released in 2022. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.